I grew up in Poland, which is quite a Catholic country. My uncle was a bishop and my grandma, she worked for the Catholic Church. And I grew up knowing all the prayers and knowing all the stories about Jesus, but I didn't really have a relationship with God, and I didn't understand why I would need to have a relationship with God anyway. Looking back at it now with hindsight, I know that God had called me by name a long time ago. I just wasn't open to it. My heart wasn't open to that calling. And I have felt the presence of God before, but I just didn't realise it. And when I went to university to do my bachelor's degree, I had this kind of missing piece inside of my heart, and I tried to numb that kind of pain of that missing piece with alcohol, drugs, lust, but it just wasn't working, and kind of spiraled into depression. And coming out of that, I went onto my placement year. I decided to go back home to Manchester, and I did an unpaid placement, meaning that I had to work 2 part-time jobs on the side. So I was out of the house from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. 6 days a week, and I was just exhausted for a good 6 months. And coming back home, there were issues at home as well. So all of that coupled together, it caused me to not want to get out of bed on a daily basis. And I was quite sad for a very long time. And one day I was invited to church by one of my friends. And it was just a very casual question and answer kind of preach that day. But there was something that the pastor said that was very profound. And it just felt like there was a spotlight on me. Of course there wasn't, but it just felt like the pastor was looking directly at me and God was speaking through him. And that was the start of my wrestle with God that week, which reminds me of Jacob quite a lot. I was wrestling with God. I wasn't opening my heart up to him, even though there was a clear calling from him. And there were many instances during that week where God made it quite clear to me that he was calling his lost sheep back. And then after a few times of feeling like God was calling me back, I decided to say yes to Jesus a week after. And a month later, we actually went into lockdown. So going from this busy lifestyle of not having even time for myself and just feeling really lost, I had the opportunity to just slow down and get to know God a bit more and learn what having a relationship with Jesus looks like. And I actually reunited with some of my friends from a few years back who were, funnily enough, saved a few months back as well. So it was very interesting how we went from going out together and doing stupid stuff to praising Jesus together and building a community in a time of loneliness. 2 years later, I actually got a job in Cambridge because of my placement year. So even though I struggled so much and I didn't understand why I had to go through all that pain, and I realised that I was being prepared for something here in Cambridge, and that was to be rooted in church. C3 provided a community at a time when I felt like I really needed a community, and I understood the importance of serving in church. I served on the youth team because when I was younger, I didn't understand why I had to have a relationship with God, and so now I want to pour into those young minds, and I want to be used as a vessel by God to show them the importance of having a relationship with God from an early age, which is what I would have wanted for myself, looking back at it now. To encourage people who are kind of having this wrestle with God right now, I would say ask God to show you who he really is. Ask God to show you something new about him every day. And like Gideon did, with the right attitude, ask him to reveal himself to you.